This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What, am I, an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Hello and welcome to the Godless Rebelution. Today is Wednesday, September 26th. I am your no longer bearded ginger host, Dan Ellis.
You're babyface Ellis.
Naked-faced man. Everything is really cold. Like, I can feel every little breeze.
Like, I still can't stop staring at you. I mean, not in a sexual way, but like, huh?
What the fuck happened to that guy?
Oh, we were supposed to not in a sexual way.
Yeah, not in a sexual way, but just,
crap. I've been doing it wrong.
Oh.
Have you? Matt?
Well, he just looks so smooth.
True.
like a round, like a potato, like a reddish potato.
Yeah,
like
those are the best,
criminal.
right? The red skin potatoes.
Red skin potatoes. The skin's very thin, so
They burn easy.
Well, no, they're just really good in like a lot of stuff. You don't have the tough skin on them.
I was just making reference to the fact that you burn easy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know if you noticed the picture that I took Sunday. Like my cheeks are very rosy because I'd gone golfing all day the day before and got a little bit too much sun. And so my cheeks were sunburned and my ears were sunburned. And then they shaved my beard off. So I had like this reverse tan line where like, you know, a beard would be that was very white.
That's why I can't let my hair grow out at all.
Yeah.
Because if I let it grow out in the summer and I go out in the sun, then I shave it.
Then you got a white head.
I got a really white head and it does not match the rest of my face or head or neck or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite disturbing.
And then it stands out a lot.
Yeah.
Well, what have you guys been doing over the last week?
I went to the masquerade ball with Sarah this weekend, got all dressed up and helped raise money for kids.
The masquerade ball?
The Mascot Miracles Foundation, those guys that we've heard so much about.
Mm-hmm.
They had their annual like fundraising gala this Saturday.
Oh.
So we went to that.
Nice.
And yesterday we were giving away free ice cream at Sub-Zero in Ogden. So
is Sub-Zero? No, I was thinking Dippin' Dots. Never mind.
No, Sub-Zero is the one where
I was thinking of Scorpion.
Yeah. Me too.
Fatality. Finish him!
It's the one where they make the ice cream in front of you with liquid nitrogen.
Oh.
So they pour out.
How do they make ice cream out of liquid nitrogen?
So they pour out like a liquid ice cream, all the flavoring and stuff into a bowl, and they hit it with liquid nitrogen and freeze that stuff and make ice cream out of it. It's pretty interesting to watch. It's kind of neat.
Sounds fun.
That's why it's called Sub-Zero, because they use liquid nitrogen to make ice cream right in front of your face.
Oh, well. I've been to other places where they've got just that really cold plate.
Yeah.
And they mix everything up and just
like the Cold
Stone. Like the Cold Stone Creamery kind of. They put creamy stuff on this Cold Stone.
Yeah, they
mix it all together.
They use the same kind of cream stuff, but they just use liquid nitrogen to make it.
Doing some science.
Yep.
They're going to do a science with your ice cream. Cool. So, anything else?
That's about it.
Yeah. Well, I saw a picture of you taking a picture of somebody else taking a picture of Batman.
Oh, yeah. That was last night when we were giving away the ice cream there.
Oh, okay.
So we were filming stuff, too, because we had Batman there. So we did a little interview with Batman about his car. And I was going around hanging out with the kids and bullshitting, talking to them and playing around. So
was that like a full-fledged Batmobile? It looked like
it's one of those Polaris 3-wheelers.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked like, what are those called? The fucking
it's like the slingshot, or I
can't think, where it's got two wheels in front, one wheel in back.
Yeah, it's a Polaris slingshot. His is. There's different models of them.
Yeah, I can't. There's another big brand name that is just slipping my mind.
Well, there's a really expensive ones called like T-Rex. That are like the custom built ones that are really low to the ground and do like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's not the name I'm thinking of either, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Batman was there.
Yeah. Batman's a good guy.
So, some people just want to burn it all down. And you, sir, what have you been doing?
I have been watching the Last Chance U on Netflix. You guys watch this? Any
Was
of this?
that?
Heard of any of it?
Last Chance.
It's really a cool premise. It's like a bunch of really, really talented and hardworking, usually college athletes who have some sort of mistake or attitude problem or something that bumps them out of Division I or Division II schools. And so they go down to junior college as basically their last chance to work their way back up through junior college and maybe get another shot at a Division I or II school.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really interesting. But on the season that there's 2 seasons about one school, and then there's a 3rd season about a different school, and they're all super fucking religious-y bullshit, whatever. But the one that it follows the school for 2 seasons is in southeastern Mississippi.
Mississippi,
and it's real yucky with God shit.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is so it's a community college and they pray before the games and during locker rooms, and the coaches all do Bible, this and that bullshit, which I don't know how that works for a community college, like if that's even legal or allowed, but whatever, they do it. But one prayer before they had a rivalry game, the coach prayed for this, quote, "Help us play violent and vicious the way the game is supposed to be played," close quote.
This is a prayer?
Yeah.
That
so
sounds like a loving.
How does that work exactly? Like, can he even help with that? Right? Like
you could give him a sword.
But if he's a perfectly good God, though, can he help one person to be violent and vicious to another one? Or does that conflict with his abilities? Or
well, I mean, there's plenty of examples of him doing that in the Bible, but
I guess
doesn't really conform to the God is great bullshit that people say all the time.
Yeah, we know God is an asshole, but they don't know that.
Yeah,
well, they want to talk about how great he is and loving and patient and kind and all that stuff, but then they pray for stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, if the other team prays for the same thing, do the prayers cancel out?
Well, I don't think any prayers are making it, because people like one team. I've watched a ton of football, and almost every single time one team loses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Never a tie.
There are a couple.
Almost every time.
Yeah, there are a few of those. And those must be the games where both teams pray.
Okay.
Because
sense.
all the rest of the time, it must just be the one team. Because usually there's at least one team that loses.
How fucking selfish and stupid is it for people to pray to their ultimate supreme being in the sky that one team beats another team on a competitive, what should be friendly display of your talent in a particular sport, and they'll spend their time praying for that versus trying to fix any other ill in the world, right? Like if they honestly believe that their God listens to their prayers and answers them, acts in a way in accordance with the way that they want their God to behave and act, right? Like he's going to step in and he's going to make my team win this game. We're going to get the help from the ultimate Sky Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of arrogant, selfish fucking thing is that to do when you could instead be praying for it? Like if your prayers actually work,
if
it's
they believe that, which they do,
true that they work, why the fuck are you praying for stupid shit like that instead of ending world hunger, ending war, ending famine, stopping disease, stopping natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, any of that kind of shit? Instead, you're praying that your fucking football team wins.
It's actually slightly worse than that, because it doesn't matter whether it's demonstrable or not. It only matters that they believe that that's true.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that this could accomplish anything, and yet they use it for that.
Yeah.
Well, but once again, if they truly believe that, why even practice?
Yeah.
You just gotta show up and pray.
Know. Yeah. I know.
Well, God helps those who help themselves, Ryan.
Which is not in the Bible. Yeah. And then, so, another thing, they had one extra specially godly, yucky episode about a whole bunch of stupid stuff. But in one game, the defense of this team gave up 42 points. They still won the game.
Huh?
They're really good, but their defense just played like shit. They gave up 42 points, and the coaches were all over them for the whole week. They were praying and converting and Bible studying, baptizing, the whole thing. So what happened next week? Did they give up 42 again? Nope. 49. They won that game too, but they scored 52 in that game. Yeah.
Jesus.
Or 62 in that game or something.
Those are like basketball games.
Yeah.
They have 8 quarters.
It was an exciting game to watch. It was just like one play touchdown, one play touchdown, one play touchdown. But there was like one punt the whole game.
Oh man. When I was in high school, we played Tooele and we ended up beating them 53-0. And toward the end of the game, their coach started freaking out and he was running out on the field. Oh, you're just running up the score now. And I mean, we had our third string players and they're like people who never get to play. We're out there playing and still scoring. And
we put our shittiest players in, and it's like, you're even shittier.
Well, and our coach was like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, do you want me to just tell my guys to lay down and you guys run would that make you feel any better?
Yeah. Well, actually this coach started off playing like that. Like he would back off. And then but what happened was they won one of their games and dropped 4 places in the national rankings. And they're like, well, that was an easy team. You should have killed them by way more than you did. So then he's like, okay, now I just have to beat everyone by 100 million to nothing.
Now we just have to go out and slaughter them and embarrass them, make them feel bad that they even took the field.
Yep. And that's what they do.
Oh, that sucks.
Then the players all go home and turn themselves over to Satan.
What happens is they start fighting is what happens because
you put a bunch of those kids that have had issues together. Yeah.
Especially when you get one team that has no shot at any of the playoffs, they'll just try to take you out of the playoffs. So anyway, but I thought it was interesting. All that fucking God bothering all year long. Nothing.
Well, you really make me want to watch this show now.
It's actually really good. It is really good.
Yeah.
I did see it on Netflix.
The one in Mississippi, it started out and I was like, man, I don't know if I like this coach that much, but I'm like, I'll give it a shot. He has an awesome crew around him. That's what he's got this really good academic coordinator gal in his office, and she is the fucking best. I want her in my life. She loves those boys, man. And there's no doubt about it. Like everybody knows she does. And then he's got a really great defensive lines coach and offensive coordinator who are also really genuine guys. But in the other season, and this is in Kansas, it's really interesting because the coach is kind of a hard ass, but he's a really sweet guy. You can kind of tell like that's in there. But he's just really rough around the edges because he's a white guy that grew up in Compton. And so he recruits really well because he gets along with all these troubled kids from all over the country or whatever and brings them all in. But that one's pretty interesting just because it's kind of a unique story. But anyway, yeah, you should all go check it out. Last Chance U. It's a good one.
Did you watch Snoop Dogg's football team?
What?
He's got a show on Netflix too where Snoop Dogg he's been sponsoring, I guess, like a.
Wouldn't he have a basketball team?
No, he's got he's like
7'6", 89 pounds or whatever.
Well, he doesn't play. It's like a Pee-wee. It's like a Pee-wee style football team, like middle school or.
Wait, I think you said Snoop.
Kids. Yeah,
Snoop or Pee-wee.
Oh, Pee-wee is not allowed around kids anymore.
Oh yeah, that's true. No Pee-wees for Pee-wee because he touched his Pee-wee.
But there's not much praying in that one. It's more or less Snoop Dogg going on in the field when someone makes a bad call, going, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck? That kid didn't do shit wrong."
Oh, that sounds fun.
There's a lot of cussing around the kids.
Oh yeah, well this one too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all those good godly coaches are swearing.
Oh yeah,
kids.
yeah. That's the other thing. Yeah.
Using all the bad words.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I have just been working a whole lot. I went golfing on Saturday. My golfing buddy and I, James, usually try to get out to Wasatch to play 36 holes. They have 2 18-hole golf courses at Wasatch National or State Park, and they're both just gorgeous. So we usually try to get out once a year and play all 36 holes.
And just straight?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we'll get there early in the morning, have breakfast, play 18, have lunch, play 18, and then go out to dinner or whatever. Make a whole day of it. But
make a 18-hole day of it.
Yeah. when I finally had the date available to get out and play. By the time I went to get tea times, I could only get tea times for one of the courses. So we picked the prettier of the two courses and spent the day golfing. That was a whole lot of fun. And then Sunday, Tracy and I went to go see a play at Salt Lake Acting Company that was very, very good. I couldn't tell you the name of it because it's really fucking long. It was like a ridiculously long title of the play on purpose, to make a point of being funny, I guess.
To like fill the whole front of the playbill, then you got to open up to see the rest of it.
Yeah. And it was a great play. It was really, really good. And then before we went to the play, I went to the Atheists of Utah end of summer picnic.
Yeah, I heard you went and saw a barber.
Where I had volunteered my beard as tribute because I thought, okay, well, what can I do to help raise money for Atheists of Utah, as I'm no longer on the board, but still trying to help them out and be involved and do whatever. And I thought, oh, well, we could have this little raffle where I can let people decide with their wallet if I should shave my beard, keep it, or dye it a different color. And I thought, that'd be great. And then I also wanted to make sure that we had some limits, like it has to be a minimum of a certain amount before I'll do anything, right? Like, right. I'm not going to do it. If you only sell one ticket and it's to do whatever, then that isn't going to help anybody or anything. So let's set a minimum of $200. And I figured that would be fairly easily attained.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be more than that, but 200 should be easy. And so that was my first mistake. Was thinking that people would pony up that much, and really we should have had more lead time. We should have been advertising this for a lot longer than like 2 days before the event. So that was mistake number 2. And then mistake number 3 was thinking, oh, well, they're not going to want to completely shave off the beard. So the options were shave it, dye it, shave or trim or dye it or keep it. And I thought, well, surely it won't be that they want to take all of my beard. Like maybe they'll cut it short, maybe trim it up, whatever. No, it was baby faced apart from, a mustache that they left that I quickly removed when I got home.
I mean, I don't want to say that, pessimism is always the way to go, but when thinking about what humans will do, it's generally the worst one.
The worst one, yeah.
As long as it's when it's not to them. If what will a human do to another human? It's the worst one. Whatever the thing is that you're thinking that's the worst. Yeah, that's the one they'll do.
That's the one they'll do. Especially if it's a group of people.
Yep.
We'll all get together and
just like how Dan Morris behaves when he's around Spike, like a tyrant.
And I just thought it would be cool to dye a racing stripe into your beard.
Well,
just a single streak.
Doctor.
And I think maybe had we gotten a different colored dye, that would have been more helpful. They got a green dye.
Oh,
like I would have gone for pink or purple or blue. Or
green is well with having the reddish blonde, really light colored like hair,
big fucking leprechaun.
Yeah, that green would have been.
Yeah.
I would have went dark.
Oh yeah.
Instead of going with the crazy color, I would have been like, use like a black dye or like just like a dark brown. Like go with a natural color.
Oh,
versus going with the crazy color.
The only time I have ever dyed my beard was when it was really short, and I did it for Halloween one year. I actually dyed all of the hair on my body. So I stood in the shower. I stood in the shower and I had like 4 bottles of hair dye, and I did like the hair on my head and my eyebrows and my arms and chest and legs and beard, like everything.
Wow.
And I did it black because I went as like a werewolfy kind of person. And I thought, well, I'm hairy enough, but it's not dark enough. So I dyed all the hair on my body black. And I didn't know at the time that hair dye also kind of burns while
that's why when you said you did your eyes, I'm like, what?
Yeah, did my eyebrows and eyelashes. Like I went all out.
Like I'm surprised you have eyeballs still.
If I were not so practiced and diligent about manscaping, then that could have been a real problem because I dyed all of the hair on my body that I could reach. And, so my arms were burned a little bit. My legs were burned a little bit. I think my eyebrows were the worst part, probably because I did them, toward the the top of my head burned a little bit. My eyebrows burned more than I think anything else. Maybe just because you don't typically put shit on your eyebrows.
I don't ever put shit on my eyebrows.
And when people get like their eyebrows dyed, it's just a little bit on a comb. They just kind of lightly brush it in there. They don't lather it.
No, I've never done it before. So I'm in the shower with gloves. Like I knew I had to have gloves so that my hands wouldn't be stained. Well, I figured it was so that, I wouldn't get stain under my fingernails and dye my hands a different color. So I'm in there with gloves and I do all the thing and there's fucking hair dye everywhere in the shower. And, I stood in there for 15 minutes or whatever while it did its thing and then rinsed and shampooed. And I had black hair for 3 or 4 months. But, I think maybe if they'd picked a different color, that would have gone a little bit differently. Maybe if I had been very enthusiastic in saying I wanted to have them shave it off, they would have, do a little reverse psychology. But in the end, yes, they voted with their wallets to take my beard. And there were a few different people who contributed quite a bit to that. Mm-hmm. And they apparently have some kind of animus toward my beard. Mm-hmm. And so it went bye-bye.
The worst thing.
But I'm growing it back, slowly but surely.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
What if this time you keep your beard trimmed like nice and clean and short, and then grow your mustache to your chest?
Yeah. I was actually thinking that I might just
curl it,
grow it up. Like I won't trim anything for like a year and see how that goes. And she's like, well, you can't do that with your mustache because it'll drive you nuts. And I'm like, well, I'll just have to invest in some more wax.
Yeah, I mean, this has been over a year for my mustache.
But you still trim it.
No.
You haven't done anything with it for a year. What? Move away from your mic. That's all it's grown though in a year?
Yeah, you'll pass me too. This is almost a year.
Yeah, it seems like it's stalled out in like the last few months.
Oh, really?
But like if I comb it straight down, it's
it covers both of your lips and goes into your flavor saver.
Yeah, I mean it's a walrus mustache if I let it go straight down. But the wax I think makes it seem shorter as well.
But you really haven't trimmed
inch
it
and a half.
in a year?
No.
Wow.
I mean, I think I did once where I just took a tiny little snip off the ends to even them out, and that was it. Like not trimming.
I mean, technically, that's a trim, right?
But I maybe took off like.
It looks awesome now that you just combed it.
Yeah, one side's all fucked up.
Yeah, you got a handlebar like curling up and straight out.
It looks like your bike wrecked. You got one bent handlebar.
Nice job, Duffy.
Yeah,
but it grows. My beard grows pretty fast. So
yeah.
3 years from now, I'll have another long beard. But it was fun, and we raised some money for Atheists of Utah, so that was good. And it was kind of good in a way because, I've got all of the skin cancer stuff going on, so I wanted to make sure that I was able to check my face really well and make sure that I didn't have any moles or anything that I needed to take a look at, and there's nothing under the beard. So
because the sun doesn't get to it for 3 years.
That's true.
Hi, everybody. This is Mikey Weinstein. I'm the founder and president of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, and you are listening to the Godless Rebelution.
This is it just comes out of a blizzard of inanity and craziness. He's going after Meryl Streep. He's lying about Obama wiretapping him. Now he's threatening war with North Korea, and nobody knows what to talk about. So it's like the consequence of this is we have a president who not only can he not be trusted to tell the truth, he can be trusted to lie whenever he thinks it suits his purpose.
Rejoining the Godless Rebelution podcast now.
I want to talk about Brett Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court for a little while. I hope you guys will indulge me.
What's his connection to the Supreme Court?
He's a hopeful. President Trump, for those of you who don't know, I don't know why you wouldn't. You're our audience and you're all educated and smart fucking people, so I'm sure you know all about this. But we haven't really talked about it much on the show.
No. Well, it's been getting a lot more contentious lately, I guess.
Sure, over the last week, there's been a lot more news about it. A lot more shenanigans have been outlined from various people accusing him of said shenanigans. But he is President Donald Trump's selection for Supreme Court nominee to be the next justice to replace Anthony Kennedy on the Supreme Court of the United States.
Who's a fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kennedy or Kavanaugh or
Yeah. All the K names.
Well, the part that bothered me about Kennedy is that for I don't know how long now, progressives and liberals and Democrats have said, well, Kennedy's the swing vote and he's okay with gay rights and blah, blah, blah. And sure, he made a few votes that helped swing things toward equality for the LGBTQ community.
But he wasn't reliable in it.
No, he wasn't reliable, and I don't know that actually any of his votes mattered. Maybe
I think
one
he
or
was
two.
there's a few big ones where he was the deciding.
Yeah, but the other, 98, 99% of the time, he voted with the conservative wing of the SCOTUS. And what bothered me was that when he decided he was going to retire, he waited until a Republican was elected, and then he went to the White House to speak to Donald Trump and say, I'm retiring, and I'm doing it now so that you can pick a replacement.
Yeah.
Of all the fucking people in the world to be able to pick the next Supreme Court nominee, Donald Trump is the least qualified, most ignorant fucking human being on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And look at the people he's put forward already.
Well, that's the thing is I think we talked about this last week, or I don't know if we talked about it on the show or just off air. He didn't pick these people.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course, but
the Heritage Foundation picked these.
Okay,
people.
so let's change it, and we'll just say American evangelical Christians are the least qualified to put anyone on the Supreme Court.
True.
That's even better.
There, are you happy, Ryan?
Yeah.
Fuck. Argue
we just had to point out the fact that he's not the one actually researching and deciding. He's not making the decision.
As far as we know, he can't even read.
Yeah.
Yeah, or barely. But so anyway, Trump names Brett Kavanaugh as the nominee for the next open seat on the Supreme Court of the United States. And Republicans know that they are going to lose a shit ton of seats in Congress, both in the House and Senate. It's been predicted with pretty decent.
Just like how there's no way Hillary would lose the election.
But it's been trending.
Yeah, but it's, everybody is guessing or estimating that the GOP will end up losing the House, and they're going to lose probably a record number of seats, and that Democrats could even possibly take the Senate as well.
And historically, that's usually what happens anyways, is usually the House and Senate flips.
Generally in midterm elections, midterm being the middle of the president's term.
Yeah.
That in those elections, the opposing party generally picks up seats.
Yeah.
Because people are disaffected or angry with whatever the administration is currently doing. So they want to even the scales of power. And so they'll, turn out more people to vote for the people, or more people will turn out to vote for, people on their side of the political aisle. So Trump nominates Brett Kavanaugh, and Republicans on the Congressional Judicial Committee are trying to push him through as fast as possible, confirm his vote on committee, and then send it to the full Congress for a vote, because they know that they're going to lose seats. The longer they wait, the more difficult it's going to be, especially as we come closer to the actual election. And so they're just trying to get it done and get it pushed through as soon as possible. And then a woman steps forward. Well, initially there was a letter sent to Senator Dianne Feinstein from a woman who said that she wanted to remain anonymous because she didn't want to be put in the spotlight, because she knew that if she came forward, there were going to be a bunch of fucking assholes who would start issuing death threats, stalking her, doxing her, all that kind of stuff. And indeed, all of that has come to true for Dr. Christine Ford Blasey. Or is it Blasey Ford?
Blasey Ford.
Yeah.
Blasey Ford. Okay. Are you sure it's not Ford Blasey?
Yeah. They say Dr. Ford.
Yeah.
Okay. So she comes forward finally, decides that this is the right thing that she needs to do, accusing Brett Kavanaugh of, while they were in high school, drinking way too much at a party, and he and a friend, Mark Judge, locking her in a room, and Kavanaugh being sloppily drunk, trying to take off her clothing, laying on top of her, and when she started to scream, putting his hand over his mouth, she said that she felt like he may accidentally kill her because he was so stinking drunk. And ultimately, she says that Kavanaugh's friend, Mark Judge, jumped on the pile. They fell over. And because Kavanaugh and Judge were so drunk, she was able to scramble away, get into the bathroom, lock the door, and eventually they went away and left her alone.
Yeah.
Of course, Kavanaugh's denying all of this ever happened. Never happened. I've never done that. He got a letter from 65 different women saying, "Oh no, this is completely out of character. I know Brett Kavanaugh's a stand-up guy. He's
all 65 guys, all 65 women from his church, probably.
He's a stand-up guy. He would never do anything like that. That's totally out of character. I don't believe a word of it. I think this person is mistaken or lying or whatever the case may be." And he vehemently denies all of the allegations, says that he never acted that way, that he, yes, in high school may have been drinking when he shouldn't have been, but there were back then it was that you could drink when you were younger. The laws changed, blah, blah, blah. And basically that he just completely flatly denies all of this. And then Dr. Ford says, okay, well, I would like to testify and have the FBI investigate this. Like if I'm wrong or incorrect, I would like to know, and I would like the world to know, who is more credible, who is on balance telling the most truth here. And Senate Republicans said, no, we're not going to do that.
Nope.
We're not going to have the FBI investigate this. And you had the president come out and say that that's not what the FBI does, which is fucking horseshit. That's just a fucking lie.
Does.
In fact, that's exactly what Trump and Republicans asked the FBI to do during the Benghazi investigation.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And the emails.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Trump says that that's not what the FBI does. And it's like, I kind of wondered if maybe he actually believes that. Like he's that dumb.
He doesn't know what the FBI's job is.
Yeah, I think he just doesn't know. I think he's just
the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Oh, they don't do investigations federally. I don't know what a bureau is. Isn't that what you put your socks in? I don't know.
I think it's like how a kid, a kid just thinks like nobody could possibly know this stuff. Like I don't know it. Like you just say whatever lie you want to say because nobody else could know the other answer. Like this,
I'm so smart.
Well, and that's funny too, right? Like you hear people all the time. Well, the only people who know are the people in that room. And so you don't know that this happened, but I know that he wouldn't have done this.
Right.
Okay. Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that nobody knows, but you know that he wouldn't have done this.
Mm-hmm. And that one of the people in that room was her. And she's like, no, I know he did it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So then it becomes who is a more credible witness.
Yeah.
And we already have Kavanaugh lying about a whole host of things.
Mm-hmm.
Lying or at least being so misleading as to be like right on the border of lying. Like
lying even when he wasn't up for Supreme Court. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he's been very slick with all of the questions that he's answered.
Well, first of all, he's not just a Republican. He's like Tea Party / alt-right levels of conservatism. So he's already not trustworthy.
He's a federalist.
So they go back and forth. Dr. Ford says that she would like to testify. They don't want her to testify. She says she would like to. They arrange things back and forth. They schedule a vote to press forward on his nomination. Then they call off the vote, say that they want to bring her in. Now Republicans are saying that they are, well, they're not saying they're too chicken shit, but that is what we can infer from their actions. They have hired a sex crimes prosecutor from Maricopa County. What else is Maricopa County famous for?
Oh, putting people in pink jumpsuits, letting them sit outside in the hot sun and chain gangs, and that one motherfucker who we don't like a lot. They got pardoned by Trump.
Yes, Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
Not a sheriff anymore.
No.
No, it's just Joe Arpaio.
it's an honorific, like president, whatever. You know,
do you think there's anything
former presidents? They still refer them.
Yeah, but is there anything honorable about Joe Arpaio?
No. Well, honorific is just a title honoring your past deeds, whatever. But so they hire a sex crimes prosecutor from Maricopa County to be the person to question Dr. Ford tomorrow. We're recording tonight. I think I said the date at the beginning of the episode. I usually do.
Yeah.
Today is September 26th, Wednesday. She is supposed to testify tomorrow. Both she and Brett Kavanaugh are set to testify tomorrow.
But now we got the other zinger that's coming out.
Well, so they're both set to testify. The Republicans are too chicken shit to be seen, you know, a bunch of old white guys questioning a woman who has credibly accused Brett Kavanaugh of attempted rape and sexual assault. They don't want to be the ones seen as questioning her because those are bad optics, right? So they hire a woman to question her.
A woman.
And her job isn't even anything to do with like, hey, I'm a litigator. I do investigations of people. This is my job.
What kills me is that they know how fucking horrible this looks, but they're still doing it anyway.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing.
They know that the optics of them asking her is going to look really fucking terrible. And they know, so they have a basic understanding that asking this in the first place is really fucking terrible. But then they know that it would be worse if they did it directly. So they're going to be sneaky. They're going to be little weasels.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be fucking cowards and bring somebody else in to do their own dirty work.
And the fact that they're pushing the nomination through at all is already bad enough.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like everybody has been pointing out throughout this entire process, like, what is the rush? What is the hurry? Why do we have to get this done today? Why can't we investigate these things? Why don't we take our time? Especially when we're talking about appointing somebody to a position for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
You know, until they want to retire, this person is going to be occupying this position. And with Kavanaugh, that could be 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, that we're talking 3 to 4 decades of somebody being on the Supreme Court.
Being a douche.
And so you should make absolutely sure that the person you're putting into that position is supremely qualified and above reproach in all of their dealings with their fellow human beings, right? So you should want to investigate every little thing about them that you possibly can. Now, in addition to Dr. Ford, we have at least 2 other women now coming forward saying that Brett Kavanaugh has acted inappropriately with them. And so far, the Judiciary Committee is not allowing them to speak because that would be bad.
Well, if the Judiciary Committee doesn't want to question them or do anything, they should just have the Federal Bureau of Investigations talk to them.
Well, and you have the Republicans and Trump saying that this is all, and Brett Kavanaugh saying this is all just a smear campaign. It's pure politics. You know, and today, I don't know if you guys were watching or have heard this yet, but the president he was meeting with Shinzo Abe today. And during that meeting, reporters were asking questions of him. And they were, of course, the topic of Brett Kavanaugh came up.
Yeah.
And Trump said, "Oh no, this is a smear campaign. It's politics, pure and simple. The Democrats are just trying to delay this, and they're trying to kill this.
They're being obstructionists.
Nomination for this great, wonderful man, blah blah blah." And the reporter said, "Do you think that all 3 women so far 3,
yeah,
and Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' attorney, is representing one of the 3 women who has come forward." And says that there are others who he is representing who will come forward also. But, so Trump is like, no, you know, this is all politics. It's gamesmanship. It's the worst kind of thing. Democrats are being really terrible, trying to smear a great man. And the reporter said, "So do you think that all 3 women are lying?" And Trump just said, "What's your next question?" Didn't even have the courage to answer that simple question.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he's inferred it, and you can see from everything that he has said that of course he thinks they're lying, but he's not going to come out and say that because he's a fucking coward.
Yep.
He doesn't have the courage of his own ridiculous convictions to actually say what he means, and won't answer a question that a reporter asks him directly. Instead, he says, "Next question."
Well, the thing is, if Trump doesn't want Kavanaugh to fry, he can pull a nomination. It's all over.
Well, yeah. And so my question and point to all this is, from all accounts, from all of the allegations and accusations coming forward against Brett Kavanaugh, and some of which are corroborated basically through his friend Mark Judge's book that he wrote, where he has a friend in the book named Bart O'Kavanaugh who gets blindly, stupidly, staggeringly drunk, blackout drunk during several parties while they're in high school and college. And so we know, and even through Kavanaugh's own admission, he did drink when he was in high school and on occasion drank to excess. He says it was never as bad as anybody says, but
well, if you black out, how do you know?
Exactly, right? So we know that alcohol can impair your recollection. It can impair your ability to both create and maintain memories while you're actively inebriated. And we know that memory is ultimately fallible. It changes over time. It's moldable, malleable, completely fallible, especially when given some time. But we have a consistent line from at least 3 separate women coming forward who have nothing to gain from this at all. And everything to lose, basically. Dr. Ford has been chased out of her own home because of death threats. They've had to relocate, hire security, go into hiding, basically, because of all of this. That's why she wanted to remain anonymous in the first place. You've got the other women stepping forward who are going through the same
notoriety, though. I'm not saying that's what she's doing, but you say nothing to gain. To be fair, that's a potential gain.
Okay, when you put it on the scales, though, the notoriety and death threats forcing you to leave your own fucking house, and you have children and a job, what would be the impetus for coming forward? You want notoriety for what? To what end?
I'm just saying that's a possible benefit. I'm not saying that's what I think is going on. You said no benefit.
Why? Okay, well, how is it a benefit though?
She wasn't famous before.
And she didn't want to be famous.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just saying.
But the notoriety she's achieving right now is fairly negative
from the right.
Sure.
But I mean, once this is all over with, she's going to be forgotten about.
Yeah, but I mean, people do all kinds of crazy shit for 15 minutes. I'm not saying that's what this is. Don't.
Okay.
Never mind.
I guess that's. I wouldn't even say it's a fair point. I think it's a point that
it's actually not, because
getting more notoriety.
And
but
she didn't want her name out to begin with.
Yeah, like I can't imagine.
She wanted to do this anonymously.
Yeah, I can't imagine why anybody would put themselves in the situation that she and her family are going through.
She was kind of forced to come forward.
Let alone the other 3 women. And for the Republicans and Trump, it's all about, oh, well, this is just, pure politics, and they're trying to smear an innocent person because, it's me nominating somebody for the court. Okay, but nobody came forward with allegations like this against Neil Gorsuch.
No.
They took a lot longer to get him into the court, get all of his stuff finished. And they're trying to ram Kavanaugh through as fast as they can, and they've already got 3 credible, well, at least 1 very credible, if not 2 very credible people coming forward saying that, no, he has acted inappropriately. There are a bunch of things in his past that need to come to light and be investigated, and they want the FBI to investigate. Yeah. It would be one thing if somebody thought, okay, well, I could become notorious, or I could get more notoriety, or become a little bit famous for making this allegation against somebody. But then to also want and ask repeatedly for the FBI to investigate this, when the chances, if there's any chance that the FBI would find out that you've completely fabricated the whole thing,
now you're in trouble.
You could end up not only, getting a little bit of notoriety and fame, but putting your family in danger, being pushed out of your own home, receiving death threats, possibly ruining your entire life, and now also facing the possibility of going to prison for lying to the FBI. I don't understand why anybody would do that.
Right, but people confess to murders they didn't commit. I mean,
yeah, when they're under interrogation.
No. People come out publicly and just go to a news reporter and say, yeah, I commit, whatever. That's happened. That happened with John Benet Ramsey. That happens with almost every major murder crime. They have 6 people come forward and say they did it.
And then what happens is that they investigate that and find out that the person is not at all credible. and the things that they're admitting to couldn't have happened.
Right. My only point, though, on saying that is there's no rational reason. Like you say, well, why would you want to put your family through that? Maybe possibly go to prison, blah, blah. People do weird shit.
Sure.
For notoriety and stuff. I'm not saying this is that she's that kind of person. In fact, I believe her.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, and I should never have said anything. It's just off the top of my head, you know, when you're saying there's absolutely nothing, and I'm like, well, you know, in some cases notoriety could be a motivator, but
no, yeah, and I guess that is a fair point. Then my point was more that, okay, I could have worded it better, but it's not that there's nothing to gain, but when you put what you can gain versus what you can lose, when you put those things on the scale, you're going to lose a whole fucking lot more than you would gain from any of this.
It slides more to the negative than the positive.
Yeah. And it's not just one person. It's now at least 3 different women who are coming forward with allegations about this. All of them who want the FBI to investigate it. And the Republicans and Kavanaugh and Trump do not want them to investigate it. They just want to get this done and the vote done, you know, the vote finished as soon as possible.
And they're even saying one of the women, the incident happened in 1994 when he was an adult at a bar where he pushed himself up against her and tried to.
Yeah, those were the allegations that came out today.
That came out today, yeah.
From Avenatti's client. I feel bad I can't think of her name right now.
I don't know if they actually said her name. Or if they're keeping her name private right now still, but I think that was the one where they said that they have multiple witnesses that watched it happen.
Yeah. Well, and if we were to flip this around and say, okay, well, let's pretend that, you know, well, I'll pretend that I'm Brett Kavanaugh.
I think you mean Bart O'Kavanaugh.
If I honestly believed that I have done absolutely nothing wrong and that these women are making these things up, I would want it to be stated plainly and clearly that, yes, please bring in the FBI. I want these women investigated and fucking put in prison for lying about me.
Defamation.
For this slander and this libel that is going on against me. I want you to investigate this. Take all the time you need, because I don't want the history of me being on the Supreme Court clouded with this asterisk next to my name that says, oh, well, it was just rushed through and, you know, it was a hasty decision. There were all kinds of allegations of sexual abuse, sexual impropriety.
He doesn't want to be known as a rapist judge, but he's going to be known as
I would make it a point that I want you to take all the time in the world that you need.
Yeah.
I want you to investigate this as thoroughly as you possibly can to see who is being correct and who is telling the truth. I want the FBI to investigate this. I want to clear my name, so I want you to investigate this as thoroughly and take as much time as you need to make sure that there is no doubt or as little doubt as possible as to my actions. I wouldn't just deny it all and say, oh no, it's just a sideshow and they're all liars and we need to get this vote taken care of and they're just trying to delay it. I would want them to actively investigate this as hard as they can and to punish these people for lying about me and my character. But we don't see that with Kavanaugh or with anybody or with very few people on the right side of the aisle.
Yeah. Agreed.
What would you guys, I mean, if somebody came forward, like.
Yeah, if someone came forward accusing me of something, I'd be like, no, fucking, we're going to take this to the court. We're going to investigate this shit because I know I didn't do this.
You guys are going to hate me tonight. I agree. And I think what you're saying is absolutely the right thing to do. And I think if anyone had a decent bone in their body and cared about being looked at favorably, aside from both parties, not just the Republicans, but, I don't think keeping quiet or, wanting it to go away is an admission of guilt necessarily.
I don't think it's an admission of guilt either, but I would want it to make it. I never said it was an admission of guilt.
No.
Either.
Just to clear my name.
I'm saying that in order to make it as clear as possible that I have done nothing wrong, I would want them to take all the time that they needed to make as deep an investigation as they needed to take to make sure that I have not done anything like that. I'm not saying that I'm guilty or not, or that they would find anything but if I honestly believed that I was completely innocent of any of these allegations, I would want them to investigate it as much as possible.
I know. I guess I don't see the difference. If you're innocent, you want that, but you're not saying whether you're guilty or not. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but I think that's what you're saying. You said it doesn't have to do with guilt or whether you're guilty or not. You just want, if you're innocent, you want that to come out. Well, that to me is the same thing as whether you're guilty or not. Whether you're innocent or not, right? But
I'm confused. Sorry.
I think it's more of saying like to set the story straight
about guilt, right? About whether you did it or not. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I think the way that something's.
If someone says you did something and you know you didn't do it, do you want to just go, okay, well, I'm just going to let you keep thinking I did it, even though I know I didn't do it, or kind of go, no, I'll prove to you that I didn't do this.
I'm not having a problem with understanding that part. I guess what I'm drawing from is other situations in other legal situations, like say, police.
O.J. Simpson,
but he's not a black guy. He doesn't have to worry about, having some kind of bias or prejudice against him initially from members of the FBI who by and large are Republicans also.
And it's in his favor to actually have an investigation.
He said OJ. I didn't say.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just mean like, like police have this common thing. Well, what the fuck you running from? What are you running from if you didn't do anything? Well, we're allowed to run in this country.
Sure.
But the idea that you wouldn't run if you didn't have anything to hide. Well, that's not necessarily true. There's all kinds of reasons why you might be running away from a situation. People react or the way people respond in courtrooms. Oh, he didn't show any empathy, or he didn't look like he was sad, or he didn't, he wasn't, whatever. All of that stuff is total nonsense because we don't know how everyone reacts in a certain situation.
But the thing with this isn't like a courtroom.
Yeah,
thing.
And there's no, any deadline that has been set is completely arbitrary. It's the Senate, it's the Judiciary Committee who has set deadlines for various things. There's no thing that says we have to have it done by this date or you can't be on the Supreme Court, right?
And an FBI investigation is usually done behind closed doors. It's talking to people in private. They get all their stuff together and they kind of go, hey, here's what we found. Here is.
Well, and like I say, there's no deadline to have this done by this date or you can't be on the Supreme Court. We need to vote on your nomination. We need to investigate your background. We need to find out what kind of judge you would be, if you're qualified, if you are ethical, if you are a man of good moral fiber. So why rush that through? Why try to get that done as soon as possible versus saying, no, I want you to investigate this. I want you to make sure that I am the right guy.
I mean, hell, it takes an average person.
If I was Bart, you mean?
Not if you were, if you were.
Or are you talking to me directly, or are you saying if I was in that situation? Well, he is on a deadline because he knows that he wants to get in immediately, or else it could possibly be blocked forever.
But be blocked I'm
just saying
purpose?
there's look at poor Merrick Garland. There's a tiny little window sometimes for guys where there's any amount of controversy heading into a nomination.
Well, it's
I think
September
you're
right?
seeing this. Oh, yeah. I guess if you're saying that there's nothing to hide, then why wait for a year?
Or
whatever.
Republicans are worried about the upcoming elections. Fine. Okay, great. I understand why, because they're going to lose a bunch of fucking seats, right? Mm-hmm. But there's no reason it has to happen this week. There's no reason it has to happen next week or the following week or 2 weeks from then. It doesn't have to happen until even after the election because they're still going to be maintaining those seats. Yeah, it's a lame duck session because some of them may have lost their run, their race to maintain their seat or whatever. But they're still going to be there until the new members are sworn in. Mm-hmm. So this doesn't have to happen until January sometime, right? So why does it have to happen tomorrow that we vote on this guy? Why can't we wait a week or 2 or 3 or even a month to have an investigation to find out what actually happened or the closest approximation that we can get to what the truth is?
Yeah. To have the FBI sit down with these people
to find out who's more credible, who has been like, and it speaks to credibility also because Kavanaugh has repeatedly, like I said before, lied while being questioned.
Yeah. That alone should exclude him. Committee. That should exclude him right there.
Oh, it should. Yeah, absolutely. But Republicans aren't going to do that.
No.
And they also don't want to have an investigation. And it just, I don't understand why, if you honestly believe that you're innocent of all of these allegations, that you would want to not have it investigated. If I were innocent and I knew that there was nothing out there to incriminate me, nothing that any of these people are alleging or is even close to the truth, I would have absolutely no problem with them investigating. I would want them and encourage them to investigate. Mm-hmm. But we don't see that happening.
Yeah, even if the investigation took 3 months, those people are still holding their seats.
Yeah. Yeah. And the FBI previously has done investigations like this. They can do background investigations in a few days.
Yeah.
Even if it took them 2 weeks. Let's say it takes them 2 weeks. Why can't they take the 2 weeks to do that? Why can't we hear from these other accusers? Why can't we hear from the people who are making these credible allegations against Brett Kavanaugh? The Judiciary Committee doesn't even want to hear from them.
No.
They just want to get the vote through. And maybe it just speaks to what an unethical piece of shit Brett Kavanaugh is, that he wouldn't want them to do the same thing. Whether he's innocent of these things or not, the fact that he doesn't want any investigation and just wants to push this through as quick as possible, to me, speaks about an ethical problem. But I could be wrong. What do you think, dear listeners? Send us a message and let us know. By the time you hear this, who knows? Maybe they've already held the vote and he's going to be the next Supreme Court justice. I sure as fuck hope not, but that could be the case. So,
what else we got?
All right, we'll talk about something maybe less contentious.
Hi, this is Regina Tippett. I'm a licensed professional counselor. You can find me at Secular Therapy Project or rctcounseling.com. And you're listening to The Godless Rebelution.
I blame Tribulation Trump because he's a demon.
Yes. You and the Godless Rebelution will be reassimilated in 3, 2, 1.
All right, Matt. What do you have for us this week?
I have some news about a new film. Movie that we should all get very excited about.
Oh, what is it?
It's by Mark Taylor.
The Firefighter Prophet? Is that the guy?
The same one.
Oh, no. He's made a movie or is going to make a movie?
Yeah, about how he's sure he knows why Donald Trump became president.
Oh, it's because of God?
Forget Hillary hatred, white anger, Russian interference, or voter turnout. Trump's victory was, and don't go thinking that Mark Taylor has anything like an original thought here, God's will, said Taylor. Taylor said he knows this because God told him so.
Is he going to have like Trump sitting underneath the tree and God coming up to him and talking to him like, my son,
I have no idea.
You will be president.
In 2011, while watching an interview with Trump on TV, Taylor says he heard a voice saying, the Spirit of God always, nope.
Well, that
saying,
I was going to say that voice was from the TV.
The Spirit of God always, nope.
The Spirit of God says, I've chosen this man, Donald Trump, for such a time as this. You ever notice how people try to pretend as if their thoughts about God are in this pretentious King James English?
It's all this reverent fucking Middle English speak.
Yeah, as if this fucking third grade educated Florida hillbilly has his ideas narrated by Ian McKellen.
You shall not be president.
And the Almighty is just getting started, said Taylor. The presidential prediction is detailed in The Trump Prophecy, a new film produced with the help of faculty and students at Liberty University.
Well, why the fuck did God wait this long? Why didn't God appoint Donald Trump instead of fucking Obama? Like why did Trump have to fucking run at all? Why wasn't he just a write-in candidate? Completely out of the blue, it's a fucking total fluke that he would ever become president if he's truly God's anointed.
Yep, because he's the president now to bring upon the end times. Yay!
The film will be shown in some 1,200 theaters on October 12th, October 2nd and 4th. The film is part of a small but influential Trump prophecy movement that proclaims the current administration is divinely ordained and condemns its critics as servants of Satan.
Are they all members of KISS, Knights in Satan's Service?
Oh, yeah, I guess. A number of high-profile evangelical and charismatic leaders, among them evangelist Franklin Graham, Robert Jeffress, George Barna, and presidential advisor and televangelist Paula White, have claimed that God intervened in 2016 to ensure the election of Trump. The prophecy movement goes a step further to claim Trump is a modern-day King Cyrus, a pagan king who came out to the aid of God's people and rescued them from exile.
Huh.
First of all, it's a pagan king.
Yeah, that part got me.
But what exile are they in? Were they in?
They can't. They won't let us be hating on the gays openly and as much anymore.
They took Tim Allen's TV show off TV.
Oh yes, that's true. Fuck Tim Allen. That's not even funny. Like not even a little bit.
They got Roseanne fired.
Yeah, that too.
She's not funny,
but she's a Republican.
Lance Wallnau, a self-proclaimed prophet, another one, not the same as Mark Taylor, different prophet, who spoke at the recent Values Voters Summit, has labeled Trump God's chaos candidate. In October 2016, Wallnau claimed God told him that Donald Trump is a wrecking ball to the spirit of political correctness and predicted Trump would become president.
How many people did God tell about Trump? Like, was he just telling everybody, like, he can't hold a secret?
Apparently, and God told a whole bunch of other people they were going to be president.
Well, so, yeah, he told Ted Cruz, he told Ben Carson, Michelle Bachmann. And why the fuck is God telling Mark Firefighter Prophet dipshit about this?
Or Lance Wallnau?
Yeah, why isn't he telling? I don't know, like everybody. Well, and if it's God, he could tell everybody simultaneously, right?
Right.
Well, God's not
he should, right? He should just say, "Hey, y'all, it's going to be Trump this time.
Trump. Trump."
I think I'm ripping off Cecil's redneck God, hillbilly God thing a little bit.
But
sort
God,
of inadvertently.
God kind of sounds like an old fire chief of mine who used to tell everybody they were getting a promotion.
Everybody all the time?
Yeah.
Anytime you had
hey, there's
an employee review.
Or there's there's a captain slot coming open. You're pretty much a shoo-in. And you'd say it to everybody, and then everybody would be like, wait, you told me I was getting it. Like, well, no, he told me I was getting it. And fucker.
Wallnau, who appears in Taylor's film, said the election is part of a larger religious revival that's healing the land. But he warns viewers not to sit back and relax. Believers have got to get their act together if they want to preserve their way of life, said Wallnau in the film. He declined to be interviewed. So the nebulous believers need to get to work, but he himself can't even be bothered to do one interview. And I added this.
I've just set things in motion. You all need to take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I added this Matthew 7:15, which says, watch out for false prophets. It's in the Bible. There's tons of different verses about false prophets. I don't know how they get around those. I mean, I guess just like they do the rest of the book.
Well, they're not false, obviously. They are real prophets.
Well, yeah, there's that, but...
Yeah, Hillary was a false prophet.
Oh. Did she say she was a...
I heard it.
Okay.
You know all those liberals think that she's a prophet?
Yeah, like Obama. Prophet Obama, my ass.
You guys...
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure this movie's going to be a hit at the box office.
Oh, it's going to be
at every Christian community college.
Ever.
It's gonna be killer, yeah.
That's I didn't realize there was 1,200.
I've spoken to Mark. I know that he talks to God. It's going to be amazing.
Well, I didn't know there were 1,200 Christian community colleges in the U.S. to play this at.
How many?
1,200.
Yeah.
Isn't that what he said? We showed 1,200
screens. Yeah,
1,200 screens. I didn't know there was 1,200 Christian community colleges to go show this movie at.
I let's just say I think it'll come in handy that he has experience putting out fires.
So I wanted to let everybody know that I've been in communication with Sean McCraney.
Yeah.
And he is currently slated to come on the show October 10th.
Yes.
If you don't recall who Sean McCraney is, it's the local Christian guy who started his own church here. Apparently was formerly Mormon, formerly a saint from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and left the LDS Church and was very critical of it for quite a while, and has since apparently softened his tone a bit when talking about Mormonism, but has started his own church, and I went on his Heart of the Matter show. But he is currently scheduled to join us in studio October 10th. And I want to make that like a long episode. Like keep him here as long as we possibly can and ask him a bunch of questions. So if you have questions that you want us to ask him, be sure that you send them to us at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, or post them out in the Godless Rebelution community or on our Facebook page, or tweet it at us, or tweet them to us at TGR Podcast, or call and leave us a message at 330-81-REBEL. And we'll be sure to make a long list, because he said, when I was leaving the set of his show, and I said, hey, yeah, we'll have to get you on my show sometime, or on our show, the Godless Rebelution sometime. And he's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And be sure to write down, all the questions you have, like the harder the better. I want you to ask me as many questions as you can. And so I would like to prepare a nice long list of questions to ask him. And I figured it'd be like our regular interviews where we start out with his early life and that kind of stuff. And then, meander into him being LDS and then leaving the church and why he started his own church and what he believes. And I talked to you guys pre-show about, I've kind of in my mind I haven't started writing them down yet, but like all of these questions that I personally kind of view, like there's atheist progressives on one side, and then there's theocratic conservatives on the other. And, there's kind of this view on both sides where the theocratic conservatives view the atheist progressives, and they assign all of these like a laundry list of things that they think atheists and progressive believe.
If you believe that, you're on this side. If you believe that, you're on that side. Yeah.
Yeah. And it works in reverse too, that, I know that when somebody tells me they're a born again or an evangelical Christian or they're conservative or Republican, like automatically I start ticking off all of these boxes of things that I presume that they believe, but I want to ask him directly about a bunch of these different things. So making a list of, to me, conservatives generally believe this, this, and this. What are your thoughts on these different things? So that should be interesting. And he seemed pretty excited when I contacted him about coming on the show. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to it.
Hopefully we don't end up getting into any arguments.
I don't think so. No. I mean, he seems to be a pretty affable guy.
Yeah.
I think Ryan's talking about me.
Yeah. Well, you're on the meds now, so you're good.
Well, and I haven't always been the calmest of people.
Well, you were the one that
told the coolest of heads.
Told Timmy that one time to go fuck himself and basically hung up on him.
Did I say that? I don't think I told him to go fuck himself, did I?
I think
it might have come close.
I don't think you used those. I don't think you used those words.
I think you might have said, "What the fuck are you thinking? How fucking stupid are you?" kind of thing going on. It's like, we're done.
I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
Because you're fucking stupid.
Well, and I think, even if it gets to where like he says something disgusting, I don't think he will, but I don't know. I honestly don't know what he believes about a lot of this stuff. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to find out. And I will try to just be very Socratic in questioning. And then maybe we can try a little street epistemology on him.
Ooh.
Toward the end and ask him questions about his epistemology and how he came to those beliefs, and what does he think of people who have completely different beliefs but came to them by the same means.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that should be interesting and fun. I'm looking forward to it. Did you guys see the clips of Trump speaking at the UN General Assembly?
Yeah.
When I haven't seen him?
No.
He didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that reaction coming. I thought this was beautiful. I saw it last night as I was going to bed and read the story.
That fucking picture is hilarious.
So this picture we're looking at right now, it looks Photoshop, but it's not. Like, it looks like they intentionally got him a bigger chair, but he looks like a little kid waiting to see Santa. His shoulders are all shrugged up. His neck is shrunk down. Yeah, the tie is almost touching the fucking chair.
And he looks pissed off and
dejected.
Yeah,
because no one there likes him.
Yeah, this story comes to us from GQ. It says that at the UN General Assembly, the president unintentionally brought the house down. And that's because while he was speaking, he started talking to the UN General Assembly as if he was speaking to people at a fucking Trump rally.
Yeah, speaking as if he was God.
See, this is one of the problems with having all of your incoming information edited and screened and only given the positive stuff.
Yeah.
Because then you have no real idea about what things are like out there.
It puts you completely out of touch with reality.
Well, he's outside of his bubble right now.
Yeah.
The story starts and says that pulling off a well-received stand-up routine isn't easy in New York City. That's especially true when your jokes are presumably being written by a warmonger like John Bolton, who hasn't cracked a smile since his 2015 New York Times op-ed to stop Iran's bomb Iran. But President Trump managed the unthinkable at Tuesday morning's United Nations General Assembly meeting, even if he was too oblivious to notice that the rest of the world was laughing at him, not with him. And it's got a link to video here that I think was pretty awesome.
Yeah. 1 year ago, I stood before you for the first time in this grand hall. I addressed the threats facing our world, and I presented a vision to achieve a brighter future for all of humanity. Today, I stand before the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country.
What the hell?
And like just me sitting here, I feel like laughing at him and punching him at the same time.
Completely.
Like,
what does he think he's done?
You dumb motherfucker. Yeah, tell me what you have done that is so much greater in the 2 years you've been president than almost any other administration in the history of our great country.
Really? More than FDR?
Yeah.
And so let's check out the audience's reaction.
America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
So all of the UN General Assembly starts laughing at him because they think he's trying to tell a joke, but he's not.
And you know what you didn't hear in there?
Do you think that they think he's trying to joke, or do you think they're literally just saying, this is so fucking absurd?
Yeah, because it could be that.
There wasn't a single clap. No one went, oh.
Yeah. There was no clapping.
There was no clapping. There was no applause to what he said. Everyone laughed.
It was just guffaws and laughter. Yeah. And then he says, and then there's a pause.
And he makes
and he gets like a puzzled look on his face and kind of scans the crowd and says, wow, well, I didn't really expect that reaction.
Because it's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm going to back this
I wonder,
up.
hold on. Do you think he thinks they're laughing at him still? Because he's such a narcissist.
Oh, I think he realized. I think that look on his face is like, oh shit, they're laughing at me.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Because he's since come out and said some things about
has
this.
He?
Yeah.
I haven't seen his Twitter.
America's so true.
Because he says so true right there.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
It looks like he's taking it as a positive.
America's economy is booming like never before.
And that's where the video cuts off. But yeah, the UN General Assembly all laughed at Donald Trump, not with him.
Yeah.
No.
Because he started talking like he was at a fucking Trump rally.
Yeah.
Because he has no situational awareness of where he's at, the importance of what he's doing, the consequences of what he's doing, the optics of being on the world stage and speaking at the UN General Assembly, and that everybody across the world is going to see this. Of course, they see a lot of the other antics and shit that he pulls, but this is the United Nations General Assembly, and he's talking to it like it's a bunch of redneck fucking backwater cousin humping knuckle dragging fucking dipshits at one of his rallies.
Well, even one of my good Republican friends he was over at my house last night, and he's like, what the fuck is Trump doing? Like these trade deals and stuff. Like, what the fuck is he doing? Like this
He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Yeah, I bet Trump really thinks that he's done more than any other administration. I bet he really believes that that's what's going on. And he's not going to know that everyone that's sitting in this room will have received reports from their staff about exactly what the U.S. has been getting up to. And they'll know that this has not been good.
Yeah.
So when he stands up there and says that, they just laugh like it's so ridiculous that he would even say that he would try to pass this off as as if we don't look into this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just shockingly embarrassing.
Yep.
He's such a fucking moron. And so then after all this happens, he goes and sits down and walks away, and then he just acts like a spoiled little fucking shit, sits in his chair and just starts staring out into the crowd,
starts moping.
Yeah, like he's so disappointed and angry the people laughed at him.
And all he's probably playing back through his head is the laughter.
And I have one of my friends on Facebook who had posted this, I started reading some comments on the thread when they had posted this article, and somebody said something about, well, with narcissistic personality disorder, you know, if they're rejected that way so publicly on the world stage, you might have to be really concerned and careful and watch them for what they're going to do next.
Especially when that narcissist,
because when the entire world rejects you and laughs at you as a narcissist, what are you going to do besides burn it all down?
Yeah.
Which he's kind of burning it all down with the fucking trade deals right now.
Everything he does is helping nobody.
No. Well, besides his pockets or rich people's pockets.
Well, and even a lot of the things he's doing are even affecting rich people's wallets. You know, when you talk about steel magnates and people who work on the global stage in trade deals with other countries, or people who own big businesses who do a lot of trade internationally, the tariffs and shit that he's doing are hurting their businesses.
Well, even the little guy, because the reason why that conversation, the trade deal came up last night when we were talking, my buddy works in a lot of real estate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, he goes, I got a guy right now that is fucking scared he's going to lose his business because of the trade deals with China, because he gets all this fucking wood products from China because he can get them at such a better price than he can in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And he can do these good jobs and outbid everyone else and still make a good profit.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, he might lose his fucking business model if these trade deals go through.
Well, and Trump is so fucking stupid that he thinks that by putting tariffs on things that it's the other country paying the tariffs for that. But it's not. It's the consumers who end up paying for that shit.
That's just like with, because what he say with the iPhone, he's like, we need to put tariffs on all these things so that way they make the iPhone in the U.S. It's like, no, it's not going to fucking happen. All the OLED screens, all the components on the inside of the thing, they're all made in China.
Mm-hmm.
And for one thing, Apple's a worldwide brand. It's not just an American brand. It's a global company.
Yeah.
They get a lot of stuff outsourced from around the world. If you make them get these tariffs and now to bring that product into the U.S., you're going to charge a tariff because it's got a screen made in China and these circuit boards and the internal components are made in China and it's assembled in China. Yeah, now your $1,000 fucking iPhone is going to cost you $1,500 or $1,600.
Yeah, and like I said, like we're pointing out, like all of the costs for that, the country that you're imposing these tariffs on, the country itself doesn't pay them.
No.
The consumers pay them.
And when you're a worldwide brand, you raise the price in one country, but it stays cheap in the other ones that don't have the same fucking tariffs.
Yeah.
So they're not concerned. They're not going to lose money on it.
He doesn't know how money works. He doesn't know how trade works. He doesn't know how the environment works, how business. He doesn't know how anything works.
He knows how bankruptcy works.
Well, sure, but he's had a lot of experience there.
Yeah, I mean, the more experience you have, the more you know.
He knows how to assault women and get away with it,
Yes.
and how to declare bankruptcy and remain very wealthy.
Yes.
The problem is when you get into this family of personality disorders, like narcissism, borderline psychopathy, and sociopathy, they don't learn from their mistakes. That's one of the characteristics.
And that's why he keeps repeating these mistakes.
He literally knows nothing about anything. Even bankruptcy, he doesn't know anything about it.
Well, maybe he knows how to make the mistake.
How many bankruptcies did he have? 6?
It was several. And I think sometimes he got out of the business before they actually filed bankruptcy. Because just like this casino, he bought himself out of the business and sold all of his shares, and then it went bankrupt.
Well, it's apparently 4 or 6 times from the Washington Post. Let's see. Fact check. Has Trump declared bankruptcy 4 or 6 times? Hillary Clinton said you've taken business bankruptcy 6 times. Donald Trump says, on occasion 4 times we use certain laws that are there. The fact checker, Clinton, is correct. Yes, 6 times his business filed for Chapter 11's bankruptcy protection. 6 times.
All because his companies were deep in debt like the U.S. will be soon.
Yep.
Well, we're not soon. We're already there.
Yeah.
I read an article last night that said that with the cut in taxes and the increase in tariffs and the increase in spending on our military, that I think they said that by the end of 2020, we'll be paying more on interest. Like the interest charges will exceed what we're paying down the debt.
Yeah.
So it will just at that point, with as much money as we're using to pay down the debt, the interest alone on that debt will exceed our payments on the debt.
Yeah, in the way they wrote the stuff into that, if that happens and we need to raise taxes again, it doesn't raise a corporate tax, it raises the average citizen's taxes.
Of course it will. And it's not going to raise taxes for rich people.
Nope.
It'll be all of us poor schlubs at the bottom.
Well, I even saw
as always. Ever since the baby boomers have been voting, it's been the lower and middle classes paying paying less than we should because the boomers don't want to pay any of their own fucking bills.
Well, and that's why people need to get involved in politics, run for seats, and vote. I mean, at the very least, you can educate yourself and inform yourself and go out and vote for the person who represents your interests best.
And I'm not making any more money this year than I was last year because I guess those tax cuts didn't reach me.
Oh, yeah? I don't know if they reached me or not because I got the promotion and then I also redid my W-4 because it was all over the place that because of the tax cuts, you should review your W-4 information and decrease your deductions or increase your withholding. Otherwise, you may end up paying at the end of the year. So.
I always claim 0 throughout the whole year. Then, so I don't want to be the person that's
then get a tidy return.
Yeah, I'd rather get a return than cut it way too close and be like, "Hey, you owe $2,000."
Yeah. Well, and ideally, if the world were in a stable enough place that from one year to the next, you could predict how much you're going to have to pay each year, and then you just meet that or even owe just a little bit, that would be the ideal because then you can take that money, put it in a savings account that grows interest for you instead of paying it to Uncle Sam who earns interest on it or invests it or spends it on other shit. It can work for you instead, but
for some reason
we're constantly changing tax laws, so that doesn't really work out.
But for some reason I always owe Utah $1.
$1.
It's like you realize it cost me like $10 to send you $1.
Oh, they don't care.
Yeah, they're fuck you, pay me.
And they don't let you do it. They charge you like a $5 convenience fee to do it online.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Because if you're doing it online, they're not having to deal with
paper and
they
opening
don't have
it
to,
and depositing and it's just here.
There are some initial costs for sure. You have to pay for servers and storage and programmers and system administrators and network administrators and everything. But once you get the product initially developed, you can kind of put it into maintenance mode. And it's much less expensive than doing everything snail mail and processing it all manually.
Yeah, considering I can't just send them a dollar bill in the mail. It has to be a fucking check for $1.
Yeah.
They don't take cash.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Dr. Hector Garcia, author of Alpha God, and you are listening to Godless Rebelution.
I came back and I said, what is going on? What's the big deal? So I got a transcript. I reviewed it. I actually went out and reviewed a clip of an answer that I gave, and I realized that there is a need for some clarification. It should have been obvious. I thought it would be obvious, but I would like to clarify just in case it wasn't. In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. So, just to repeat it, I said the word would instead of wouldn't, and the sentence should have been, and I thought it would be maybe a little bit unclear on the transcript or unclear on the actual video,
The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia. Sort of a double negative. So you can put that in, and I think that probably clarifies things pretty good by itself.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead and open it. I should have waited until.
Well, I usually mute my side of the mic when I do that.
Oh, well, and I should have waited. I saw you pull the can out, and I should have waited. What else do you have for us tonight, Matt?
Oh, I have lots of stuff. But first, we have a follow-up to the story from.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, I want to do this first, and then
hey, what do you got, Matt?
we have a follow-up to a story we talked about last week. The Texas superintendent.
Who's a douche?
The racist Texas superintendent.
Maybe he's not a douche, but he's definitely.
Oh no, he's a douche.
You can't be racist without being a douche. So.
Okay. I always think a douche wears affliction t-shirts.
Well, that too.
Yeah. You mean bros, like super bros?
Yeah, they're pretty douchey.
Broy.
But not all racist.
This is from DallasNews.com. Last week we told you about the Texas superintendent who said you can't count on a black quarterback.
Which is like, why the fuck would you even say that publicly?
That he had posted that publicly. Yeah, like, it's one thing to think that privately to yourself a little bit. Like, everybody's a little bit racist, right? What's that fucking, there's a play with puppets. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they have a song in it
Mr.
called...
Rogers?
No. It's called Everybody's a Little Bit... Fuck, now I gotta look up the name of this goddamn... let's see.
Is that Death to Smoochie? It kind of sounds like that.
Everybody is a little racist. What is the name of it? It's Avenue Q. That's what
I don't think I've heard of that.
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny.
Okay.
It's good. It's a good play. You know, I've been all cultured and shit. I go to all these plays and such.
Yeah, with puppets talking about racism.
Yeah.
Singing songs about everybody's a little bit racist. But I mean, it's true. Everybody has those little racist thoughts in your head, right? Whether you actually believe them or act on those baser impulses or not, everybody is a little bit racist.
Just a lot of people have the ability to check what their thoughts are and be like, hey,
and to be like, wow, that was fucked up that I thought that. But so it's one thing to have, little racist thoughts in your head, but to make that in a public comment somewhere on the internet means you're really probably a shitty fucking human being.
And then to say, I meant that to be private. Like, well, a public fucking forum is not very private.
Well, and that's it too, right? To first have that thought in your head and then think, well, I'm going to communicate this thought with somebody
and type it out.
And I'm thinking this is a private conversation, so that should be okay. Mm-hmm. And I just made the okay symbol, which now apparently is a racist thing. I was golfing.
Well, I think it's, if you hold it upside down, it's white power. Or was it?
No, it's this, right? It's,
well, I was,
because of the W.
You can do okay like this though too. You don't have to go.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's white power. Well, that's what the people are, the white power people, and also the Proud Boys use that kind of symbol too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a thing until, was it the week before last, when somebody sitting behind Kavanaugh was folding her arms and making the symbol. Like it looks like she was doing it on purpose, because who the fuck folds their arms and does this on their arm while they're sitting there, right? So it looked intentional, but I didn't know it was a thing until they started talking about that. So when I was golfing on Saturday, we were golfing with a couple older guys, and one of them had brought his wife, and she was just in the cart and driving around with him because it was really pretty course and beautiful scenery and whatever. But I was helping him find his ball, and so I'm driving around.
His wife was watching?
I'm driving around in my cart looking for his ball, and he shouts, "Oh, hey, I found it." And I gave the okay sign where I, make a little circle with my index and thumb and the other three fingers up. And then I thought, oh, what if they think I'm a racist now? And then I thought, well, now I can't do that. I'm just going to have to be thumbs up every time.
Just don't spread the fingers. Give them okay. with your fingers tightly together in a straight line. Don't spread them. Keep them closed.
But that's something I'll have to keep in mind now, that I can't use that symbol anymore, that sign, because people may take me for a racist. Yeah. Maybe less now that I don't have the big beard, but I know.
Does that make you look more racist?
Well, I noticed that when I had the big beard and would be out in public, if I didn't have something on me, like a atheist T-shirt or something, that a lot of conservatives here in Utah automatically thought that I was, some conservative, Duck Dynasty type person.
Oh, I was going to say, do we have to check your shirts? Because we know you're colorblind. You could accidentally be wearing a Confederate flag.
Dude, last week when I was in training all week at work, the instructor of the class, I walked in and he's like, "Oh, ZZ Top," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so glad you said that instead of Duck Dynasty." And he's like, "Ha, well, now I'll just have to start calling you Dusty Rhodes." And so all week long he was calling me Dusty. And Dusty Rhodes is guitar player for ZZ Top, for those of you who don't know. But anyway, a lot of people seem to assume that when I had the big beard that I was conservative, but clearly that's not true. But this story comes to us from Dallas News. It says that the Texas superintendent who said on Facebook that, quote, "you can't count on a black quarterback," end quote, is out of a job.
Good.
Yes. Lynn Redden of the Onalaska School District, about 100 miles north of Houston and sandwiched between Huntsville and Livingston, resigned Saturday after he made the remarks about Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson on the Houston Chronicle's Facebook page on Monday. His comments came the day after the Texans lost 20-17 to the Tennessee Titans. On the last play of the game, Watson, who was black, ran several seconds off the clock, trying to complete a pass that wound up in the middle of the field as time expired. Quote, "As an educator, this experience has taught me that I still have a lot to learn."
Yeah, you think?
Redden said in his resignation letter, according to the Chronicle. "My comments were not only uninformed, but also hurtful, and I understand now why they were offensive to so many people." Like, he didn't realize
because
this
he lost his job.
Yeah.
He's trying to get hired somewhere else, so he's doing all this now. It's too fucking late, buddy.
Yeah. Redden's resignation takes effect Sunday when the Texans will play their first home game of the year against the New York Giants. Redden received blistering criticism for his remarks, but none really from Watson, who said, "I'm all about love, so I don't focus on none of that. I love all people." According to the Associated Press,
They let the word out there.
What?
I think he said, "I love all white people."
No. This is Watson, the player.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. That was a bad joke then.
I was like, what?
Texans coach Bill O'Brien slammed Redden's remarks. Quote, "I don't want to waste any time responding to ignorant, idiotic statements," he said in the Chronicle. "Deshaun represents everything that's right about football and life. It's amazing that BS exists, but it does." Redden, who is white, once served as the district's civil rights coordinator.
Oh!
The Chronicle reported. Fewer than 2% of the district's students are black, according to the Texas Education Agency.
Mm-hmm.
In his original remark on... Well, and that's another reason that diversity is so great, right? Because you get a diverse group of people around you, you're not going to feel so fucking comfortable about saying ignorant, backwoods, redneck bullshit like that.
Well, you're not likely to feel that way.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Because you're exposed to those people who you would label as other and that you can't count on them because you know that you can. You know that people are people, man. It doesn't, and race is a fucking social construct. It's not really a thing. In his, there may have been, I just keep fucking this up. In his original remark on Facebook, Redden said that may have been the most inept quarterback decision I've seen in the NFL, he wrote. "When you need precision decision-making, you can't count on a black quarterback." He apologized for the statement, but then made things worse when he said black quarterbacks, quote, "have had limited success in the NFL."
Which is not true.
Yeah, I think we listed off a bunch of black quarterbacks who've had enormous success.
Redden said he thought he was replying to a private account, as if that somehow makes it okay, and it doesn't. But yeah, so he's wasn't fired. He should have been fired, but he apparently was allowed to resign.
Should have been lynched.
Hey, we don't do that around here anymore.
should have been fired for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like he's probably given the option, like, hey, you better resign, or we're kicking your ass out.
I think that maybe is what happened, isn't it?
Yeah. That would be my guess, but it's
doesn't
Texas,
specifically
so
say
who
that.
knows?
Yeah, who knows? Call the fur fighters.
Hey, I type wrong sometimes.
Oh, I do all the time.
All right, what do you got for us, Matt?
Well, there's new research out.
New research? Why would we need new research? Isn't
Bible
everything
doesn't
been
change.
settled by the Bible?
It's about the Bible.
Oh.
And it's going to be a big no shit for everybody that listens to this show. Provides evidence that the personal religious beliefs of the United States senators influence their legislative behavior.
No shit.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. The study was published in the Journal of Scientific Study of Religion. Interesting. You can have a journal of the scientific study of religion, but you can't have a journal of the religious study of science.
Say that again?
So this was published in the Journal of the Scientific Study of Religion. And that's totally a thing. But you can't have the religious study of science.
Well, yeah, what is there to study in religion aside from religion? Because
and religion isn't a way to the truth.
Right, yeah. It's
unless
not
it's
something...
that one, unless it's just about re-indoctrinating about that one religion, but you can't go anyway. The author of the study, Daniel Arnon of Emory University, examined a number of sources to create religious portfolios for 150 senators during the 110th to the 113th sessions of Congress. He found that the lawmakers' religious beliefs were associated with their legislative behavior, and this relationship was still significant even after controlling for the senators' personal and ideological characteristics. The religious preferences of senators are associated with voting and policies in the Senate across all issue areas, economic, social, and foreign policy.
Yeah.
Is this because more religious constituencies tend to elect more religious senators, who in turn push legislation that's aligned with the dominant religious beliefs of their state? Arnon found evidence that this didn't entirely explain the situation. Senators with more traditionalist religious beliefs tended to push more conservative legislation, even if their constituencies weren't as religious. Senators were considered traditionalist if they held literalist interpretations of religious text and viewed God as commanding or restricting in their viewed as commanding or restricting their actions.
Yeah, well, and that's something that we should keep in mind when we are voting for people is that, you know, you're voting for them ostensibly to represent you as a constituent in their area over which they have power or sway in their elected position, right? But more often than not, they're not going to reflect always the values of their constituency. They're going to vote the way they want.
Yeah.
And so you need to know who your representatives are and what they believe, and ask them how they will vote on different things and why they would vote that way. Have them give you an explanation of why they would vote a certain way. And for religious conservatives, more often than not, it's because God said that's what we're supposed to do.
Yep.
Even when controlling for the senator's religious constituency, their personal religious preferences still matter in their politics, Arnon explained. Specifically, I find that the senator's religious tradition is not the main religious driver of voting in the Senate, but rather that the most important religious factor is their religious beliefs, whether traditionalist or more moderate and progressive. The bottom line is that while church and state are formally separated, religious legislators are still driven by their religious beliefs when voting in the Senate on all issue areas. This mechanism circumvents the formal separation of church and state and brings religion into politics through the back door. Yep. Church and anal have so much in common, or so many ties.
The back door.
While religious traditionalism was found to influence senators, the study found no evidence that their level of religious engagement was associated with their legislative behavior. So basically, they're pushing religiously motivated legislation even if they aren't attending church. So they're not doing the actions, but they're still pushing those religious things in if they're like traditionalists or conservatives or whatever.
Yeah.
That's strange. Do you think that is an indication that they're trying to represent their constituency, or at least like that they're playing for their base because they want those people to get out and vote for them again? Because we know that religious conservatives vote. They're very good at voting.
That's why they voted for Trump.
And that's why Republicans, even knowing that religious conservatives are, becoming an ever shrinking portion of the U.S. population, they still want to maintain and cater to that base because they go out and vote. So go out and fucking vote, everybody.
Yeah, make
vote
them
for
obsolete.
your interest. Yeah, even if you're in a place where it's a red state and you know that your vote isn't going to matter because you're just, you feel like one lone progressive in a sea of red, the great thing that you can take away from that is if you go and vote, your vote cancels out some fucking dipshit. Some fucking asshole spent their time going to the voting booth and you've just canceled out their shitty fucking vote. That should make you feel good.
Yep.
Sorry.
I think that might be part of what it is, but I think the other part of it is that people who are really, really religious or people who know that God is real and God don't read the Bible or go to church. They just know that he's real. And we want to do everything for him like he's done everything for us.
Well, have you guys heard about this new show that Tom Arnold has on Vice right now?
Oh, God, no. What is it?
It's Searching for the P tapes.
Oh, well, I knew that he has been on a quest.
Yeah.
To find dirt on Donald Trump.
I was watching it on YouTube the other day, and one part that was pretty interesting. One guy has gone through and transcribed every single time Donald Trump has been on any news show, radio interview, TV program, anything where they're asking him political questions or anything like that. And he tracked, goes, here's Trump for his whole life, for abortion, for all this stuff. Goes, as soon as he was running for president in 2016 or running up to it, all of his views fucking flipped to go 100% conservative, evangelical vote.
And if you're listening to the show and you're a conservative evangelical person, just know that the people in power currently, the people who are trying to get your vote, they think you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Are you as stupid as they think you are? Because they think that they can act a certain way and just by merit of the words they're saying, regardless of the actions that they're doing, that you'll still vote for them because they're saying these special magic words as dog whistles to you. Are you that fucking stupid? Because they think you are.
Yes, they are.
And it
worked.
We're not the
it
only
put him
ones.
in the White House, so yes, they are.
Well, yeah, but we're not the only ones who think that conservative voters are fucking stupid. The conservative people who you vote for think you're fucking stupid too. So maybe instead of voting for the same people who think you're fucking stupid, you're going to be voting for people who think you're stupid either way. Maybe educate yourself. Let go of some of those conservative views that led you to the polls to vote for somebody who's a disingenuous fucking hack anyway.
And if you think voting that way is voting in your own interest, I don't see how that's possible.
Well, God's going to come down and he's going to judge everybody.
But that hasn't happened yet. And we can
but it's going to, Ryan. We're in the latter days.
We can look at, I'm not going to use.
We had a black president, Ryan. If you don't think that's an indication that we's in the last days or in the latter days, then you're just mistaken.
Wait, is it the latter days, the last days, or
yep, there's the same thing.
Oh,
I can use the word latter because I sound smarter when I say it that way.
I just figured you bought one and wanted to keep using the word.
No, we are in the last days, Ryan.
Oh shit!
There is no surer sign than that we had a black president. And almost had, God forbid, a woman president.
Yeah, a vagina was almost in the White House.
Hey, gang, this is Jack Materko from For Infernal Use Only and the Naked Diner podcast, and you are listening to The Godless Rebelution.
All appropriate departments of our government, from Homeland Security to Defense, are engaged fully in the disaster and the response and recovery effort. Probably has never been seen for something like this. This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
What else you got for us?
A little bit of Christian dominionism.
Oh, fun.
Whoa.
Religious liberty has become a particularly politicized topic in recent years, and recent months were no different. In a long-awaited June decision, the Supreme Court decided in favor of a Christian baker who refused to make a custom wedding cake for a gay couple. In July, Attorney General Jeff Sessions introduced a religious liberty task force,
which I haven't heard much about that since then.
That critics saw as a mere cover for anti-gay discrimination.
I really enjoyed our episode where you talked about that and went through the like 16 different things in there. That was really good because I knew that he had created the Religious Liberty Task Force. I didn't know about all these different points that he had made about it.
Yeah.
So
I liked depressing. And Brett Kavanaugh's record has been scoured, and evidence of what his appointment to the Supreme Court could mean for future decisions in which Christian beliefs clash with the law and policy. But when it comes to religious liberty for Americans, there's a disturbing trend that has drawn much less attention. In recent years, state lawmakers, lawyers, and influential social commentators have been making the case that Muslims are not protected by the First Amendment. We've played some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Brian Fisher and those fucks.
Yeah, they're not protected because this is a Christian nation. So these laws apply to protect Christians.
Actually, they're getting a little more savvy because what they're saying now is that Islam is not a religion.
Oh. What?
But they want to claim atheism is?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think formally they would ever say atheism was. Because what they're trying to do is whittle down, right? See, they're recognizing that legally, if you give it to one, they're having a hard time saying that they know that they can't say Christianity should get this and no other religion should get it. So what they're trying to do now is just cut out the competition by saying, well, then they don't qualify.
We're tired of trying to hold these schizophrenic thoughts in our heads, so now we're just going to say no.
Well, because they're trying to claim atheism was a religion. They go, well, atheism is a religion. Atheism believes in science, therefore science is religion. So now you got to teach our science as well.
Yeah. But I don't think they would really push that too hard on a real formal. I mean,
I think they're still trying to get creationism in all the fucking textbooks and taught in school and make it part of the fucking curriculum.
And they're making good headway on that.
They are, which is fucking scary.
This once seemed like an absurd fringe argument, the Islam is not a religion thing. But it has gained momentum. John Bennett, a Republican state legislator in Oklahoma, of course, said in 2014, Islam is not even a religion. It's a political system that uses a deity to advance its agenda of global conquest.
Wait, isn't that exactly what
this is?
The Christians
this is like
doing?
Turn your irony meters up again, man. Because, like, dude, think about somebody saying the same thing to you.
Yeah,
they can't think that way. I mean, clearly. In 2015, a former assistant United States attorney, Andrew C. McCarthy, wrote in National Review that Islam should be understood as conveying a belief system that is not merely or even primarily religious. In 2016, Michael Flynn, who the next year was briefly President Trump's national security advisor, told an ACT for America conference in Dallas that Islam is a political ideology that hides behind the notion of it being a religion. Well put.
Well,
there,
then conservative. None of us can fucking talk tonight. Yes, that word is also a religious ideology. Then we were doing tongue twisters earlier.
In a January 2018 news release, Neil Tapio of South Dakota, a Republican state senator who was planning to run for the United States House of Representatives, questioned whether the First Amendment applies to Muslims. At the root of the push to deny that Islam is a religion is a misguided belief that Muslims are anti-American. An industry of anti-Muslim fear-mongering has helped stoke and perpetuate moral panic about Islam taking over America and subverting American values. A 2016 survey by the Pew Research Center. I am really stumbling. I'm like right there close, and I'm just like sort of hiccuping a little bit.
It's
on
almost
these
like
words,
you're second guessing the way you're pronouncing things and getting it in your head.
Yeah, I'm just like tripping a little bit on some of these words.
You're really starting to duff it up.
Yeah, way to go, Duffy. Matt.
Has it gotten that bad, you guys?
That's what you get for sitting in his chair.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's a disease.
I didn't know it was that stuff was
It's
contagious.
fucking contagious.
Damn.
Enters through your butt.
Oh, shit. Through your duff?
Yeah, through your duff.
Damn. 2016 survey by the Pew Research Center found that almost half of American adults believed that at least some American Muslims are anti-American. This number included 11% who think most or almost all American Muslims are anti-American. I wonder what would qualify as anti-American.
Well, they probably think we're anti-American.
They do. They think liberals are anti-American.
Yeah.
Of course they do. They say that all the time. And atheists, yeah. Well, but they think liberals are fundamentally anti-American.
Yeah, well, it's like they have a view of anybody who's not Christian.
Anybody who's not me.
Yeah, well,
that's basically what it is.
They tend to confuse or mix up. Maybe it's not even confusion. Maybe it's an intentional thing where they honestly believe that in order to be a good quote unquote American, you have to be a religious Bible thumping Christian.
Yeah.
That's what makes you an American. America is a Christian nation.
Mm-hmm. God, guns, and country.
Yeah, in that order.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't met no liberal that likes no country music, so you strike out on all three.
I fucking hate country music so much.
I like Johnny Cash.
Ugh.
Well, that's not really country, though. I like old country stuff,
though.
but like none of the, like Keith.
No, I don't like any of the modern.
Yeah, no.
14% thought that about half of all American Muslims were against America. Hmm? These are only American Muslims
against America.
Yeah, these aren't just Muslims worldwide. These are American Muslims. And a 2017 poll found that half of the United States adults believe that Islam does not have a place in mainstream American society.
Wait, half of all U.S. adults or half of...
Yeah.
Like not, this isn't just a poll of conservative or Christian Americans. This is like half of every American they polled?
In a 2017 poll, so I don't know which poll, found that half of U.S. adults believe that Islam does not have a place in mainstream. That's
depressing.
It is. And almost half, 44%, thought there was a natural conflict between Islam and democracy. There kind of is, though.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on how far they want to take that. And there would also be a conflict
with
between
any religion,
Christianity and democracy.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think that's true too.
Yeah.
The fear is so real that in 2010, when the mosque opponents in Murfreesboro argued against, I fucking hate that town name. God damn it. Murfreesboro.
Let's throw in some more vowels.
Well, and an extra consonant. It's not Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro.
It's Murfreesboro. Argued against the religious validity of Islam. That I don't know how you do.
I don't know either.
The Department of Justice.
You don't know what? What was it? You don't know how?
Argue against the religious validity.
Oh yeah.
The Department of Justice filed an amicus brief explaining that under the United States Constitution and other federal laws, it is uncontroverted that Islam is a religion and a mosque is a place of religious assembly. The fear is not limited to mosque cases. There have been legislative efforts in 43 states to ban the practice of Islamic religious law or Sharia law. 24 bills were introduced in 2017 alone, according to the Haas Institute at the University of California, Berkeley. This year, Idaho.
Sorry.
So completely necessary. This year, Idaho introduced an anti-Sharia bill. This is regular bill and this is anti-Sharia bill. Bringing the number of measures introduced since 2010 to at least 217. Of those, 20 have been enacted.
So I don't know how you can make an anti. So if according to their religion they can't eat pork, So what, now are you going to force them to eat pork?
Well, this is anti-Sharia.
Well, that's the same thing as saying like
that's halal.
Anti-Old Testament. Like the laws or Leviticus.
Yeah, and I'm opposed to them trying to make Leviticus law the rule of the land too.
Yeah, but how many Muslims are trying to make their religious
not
rules
not
law?
very many. Not
or
very many, but
saying, well, what if the Mormons made
In
the
the
word of
U.S.,
wisdom?
I haven't seen a single instance.
Never.
Yeah.
It's like saying, well, I'm worried that they're going to make the word of wisdom apply to every U.S. citizen and the Mormons are going to take over. Like, no, if the Mormons want to practice their word of wisdom and their religious rules that they have to follow, so be it. Let them fucking do that shit. No one's
As
trying
long
to,
as they're not harming themselves or anybody else.
Which
Sharia might
a lot
have
anyway.
some-
But
Well, I think
how do you quantify harm?
Yeah,
like
that-
they're being retarded.
well, it's like the story we talked about last week with the Jewish celebration where they're fucking flying chickens around their heads and shit.
Oh yeah, Kaporos.
Yeah, it's like that's part of their religious celebrations they do.
Dude, I watched a bunch of videos on Kaporos while I was editing because I wasn't sure how to spell it.
Oh. So
for the
YouTubed
show
it?
notes, I YouTubed Kaporos and then watched a bunch of videos of people doing protests during Kaporos and the Hasidic Jews who were doing it and, you know, arguing back like, oh, you want to protest here? Why don't you go on to protest at McDonald's?
What, the chicken nuggets?
Yeah. Well, and it was just arguments back and forth
Yeah.
and it's pretty gruesome, buddy.
Yeah.
We keep getting you off track. Sorry.
That's all right. It's not hard to imagine what the reaction from those corners might be if Muslims sought other exemptions, including ones routinely sought by Christians, from performing certain medical procedures, providing certain medications, or, say, the baking of wedding cake for a gay couple. A June poll by Monitoring Consult showed that white evangelicals are more likely to support religious businesses over refusing services to LGBT. Let me read that again because that did not make sense. A June poll by Monitoring Consult showed that white evangelicals are more likely to support religious business owners refusing services to LGBT individuals. Now, there's a period after every LBGT, so it looks like the end of this goddamn sentence.
Well, I was giggling because you said a June poll, but you said June poll.
A June poll.
A June poll.
A June poll.
Yeah. Anyway.
LGBT individuals, if the business owner is a Christian, Jew, or Mormon, but less so if the business owner is a Muslim. Okay, so they would support the white evangelicals in a poll said that they would support the religion. I'm fucking done. Man. They would be more likely to support religious business owners against LGBT people, and slightly less so if the business owner was Muslim, even if it was still against them queers. If Islamophobes are successful in their efforts to strip American Muslims of the same protections that Christians enjoy, it's they, not the Muslims they irrationally fear, who will be responsible for curtailing religious liberty. Yeah, but it's not about liberty, it's about privilege. That's the problem. I think people on the left are still caught up on that. I think they're still thinking, hey, you're going to ruin religious liberty. As if they fucking give a shit that everyone else has the same rights. They don't give a shit that everyone else has the same rights.
No, they don't want everybody else to have the same rights.
I know. They're trying to not have that.
Yeah, they want special privileges.
So
for
the
themselves.
more that the left keeps saying, hey, this is not going to be fair for everybody, the more they go, yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, and
good, yeah.
Well, not everybody
that's
is
the point.
Not everybody is as American as I am.
Right.
Well, you got to stop saying, well, this isn't fair for everybody, and go, well, this is anti-constitutional.
That doesn't matter anymore either.
And you like the Constitution, don't you?
They don't. They didn't let Obama have the SCOTUS pick. They don't care about...
That's people in office. I'm
They don't
talking
care
about
about Jeff
redneck
Sessions.
hillbillies who say they love the
They
Constitution.
don't even know what the Constitution says.
That's why we can tell them what it says.
It don't say that in there.
Yeah,
yes, it does. I know you can't read. I read it. I'm reading it right here for you.
Yeah. The whole thing, we're at a place now with conservative Christians in this country where it doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't matter what's actually out there. I know they've given up on science altogether. We can't tell them about the Bible because either we don't know, or my pastor said different, or I've read it there. I swear it's in
You're
there.
taking it out of context.
Yeah, out of context. It's literally down to this is what's in my head, and I don't give a flying fuck what anyone else says or thinks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reaching them. There's no communication anymore at all. There's no understand. There's not even a pretending to care to understand.
Yeah,
it's all gone. There's no reaching them at all.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody on the left who goes to like a Trump rally or a conservative setting somewhere and starts talking to conservatives, and it's like, well, so you think this and that, and what do you think of this? And they give their views or beliefs on something, and it's like, well, do you think you could be wrong, or is there anything that could change your mind? No, never.
Yeah. Nope, never.
Never. I'll never change my mind. This is the truth. There's nothing you could say that would ever change my mind about this.
Yep.
All right, then I'm going to stop fucking trying.
Yeah.
And we'll just steamroll over your dumb country fucking bumpkin ass. And the thing that's so frustrating is because people on our side are much less apt to vote. And you need to get out and vote, people. Yeah. That's how you change things. It's not just about protest after the fact because you didn't fucking vote. You need to vote in order to get your policies enacted.
I think there's overlay between those two things you just talked about too, though, because I think that people on the left, almost by definition sort of live in the gray area, right? And conservatives are very, very, very black and white thinkers.
Yeah, that's true.
And almost nobody, I would dare say nobody that's a progressive would assign the level of certainty that you're talking about, those high levels of confidence to their beliefs.
Oh yeah, that nothing could ever change their mind.
Yeah, I don't think they would ever do that. And I think living in that gray area, having so much uncertainty and doubt doesn't lend itself well to steady voter turnout numbers in the way that it does when you get blocks of people who are all nodding along in unison, who know three things, and they know three things to be absolutely true 100% no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And they hear somebody get up there at the pulpit and say, here are them damn three things, and I know them three things just like you know them three things, and I'm going to get them to stop pushing our rights of those three things back. They're going to say, yeah, we got to go out and hit the button for all them guys who know all them same three things.
It's not the 3%ers, it's the three thingers.
Yeah, they know three things. But I think that helps you I think that makes you more certain about things, or makes you feel more certain about things when you know less. Right?
Oh yeah, you certainly feel more comfortable.
Right. And then the other thing is things are easy to identify because, he's hitting on all the buzzwords, and we see that every election cycle. And then when you have that, only three things you care about, they're talking about them, and we're 100% sure, you'll vote. And when you live in the gray area and you're like, yeah, but there's 500 issues we're trying to balance here, and this guy is saying that, and yeah, but there's a checkered past, or we're not sure what to think about Hillary, or this and that, then there's so much. You're not going to get a huge block that just walks like lemmings to the polls. I think those two things have some overlap for sure.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
But do it, please. Just go vote.
Yeah.
Just do it anyway.
November 8th.
Just pick the best ones you can get.
Registering is super easy. Voting is super easy. I know here in Utah we have early voting. You can vote by mail.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you have like no excuse to not vote.
And your employer has to allow you to go vote.
Yes. Yeah. Is that a state law?
I think it's a federal law.
Yeah. They have to allow you
time to go vote.
That'll wrap it up for us here. Oh no, it won't quite wrap it up for us. I wanted to cover a couple things very quickly. Well, just one thing, and then we can address the other thing later. But the first one is that we received an update from Mariusz Kotbutrykowski. Last week we were a little concerned that he may be fired after having the Pope song from Tim Minchin played aloud in
Good
the
news.
library where he
was fired.
No, he was not fired. Sent us a message and said, hey, an update. I won't get fired. Seems like the whole thing was as harmless as it was hilarious. I still listen to atheist podcasts at work. I don't use headphones because I often wander around the room and organize and alphabetize books, fix and sleeve them, often outside of headphones cable length or when it would be inconvenient. I currently work in a small room in a dark corner of the local elementary school, moved this spring and still trying to organize stuff. So we're very glad to hear that you will not be fired, Marius. That makes us feel better about things. Like I would personally feel bad if
we got
me putting that song at the end of a show that was played loudly while a priest came around. Well, I would feel culpable in that having happened.
But it would still be the priest's fault for being that old and that fucking sensitive.
That crusty about it, yeah.
It's snowflakey.
But that will wrap it up for us this evening. Before we go, I want to make sure that we thank our Patreon supporters. That would be Alan Firth,
Numania,
Christy Callback,
Gay Fist, I forgot to step off my mute button.
Larry Wilson,
Stephen Andrews,
Let Them Eat Coffee,
Two Skeptical Chaps,
Michelle Short,
Vanessa,
Freethinker 215,
who sent us a message to let us know that they have started contributing to a few different shows, and we are the only ones who have said their username correctly as Freethinker 215 versus Freethinker 215 or Freethinker 215.
Because we're the most accurate podcast out there.
Because we're fucking badasses.
Yeah.
Utah Outcasts,
Janet Uter,
Marius Kot Buchakowski, who still has a job,
Wes Aaron,
Andrew Vodopich,
Taylor Grin,
Angelica
Jeremy Goodson,
Brandy Hamrick,
Megan Kennedy,
The Faz,
Jeff Peterson,
Jesse Pointer,
Savita Kuna,
and the Purple Dragon.
Thank you all very, very much. We appreciate it more than you know, and it helps us cover all kinds of costs. Like, I don't know. I don't think most people who maybe don't have a podcast realize all the things we've got to pay for. It's not just equipment, but it's hosting services and other things like Zencaster if we want to have an
travel
interview
expenses.
with.
Yeah, they don't let us put it on the internet for free.
Yeah. There's a lot of expense involved with this, so any little bit that you can contribute to help keep the show going is greatly, greatly appreciated. And so until next week, crucify Brett Kavanaugh.
Leave a review to keep Kavanaugh off the bench.
And rate the show 5 times a day towards crusty old priests.
Went and had a few drinks at my house, and he came back over. We had a few more drinks. He went and grabbed some Burger King, so I had a burger from Burger King. That was all I had to eat all fucking day. Then I had myself like a good 6 like tall old fashions, which is straight alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, then around 5.
Well, you do have the twist of citrus in there.
I don't put citrus in it.
What? Then it's not an old-fashioned, man. Come on.
I use the citrus bitters, which is actually 50% alcohol.
Oh, okay.
So everything I put in it has alcohol.
Bitters?
The bitters I buy.
What bitters do you buy?
The old, the better bitters.
You buy better bitters, the bitters you buy in the
I can't remember the name of it. It's a traditional one you always see at the bars and stuff.
Do you buy your bitters at Best Buy?
No.
Oh,
Best
the
Buy
bars.
Best Bitters.
You mean Butters, Betters, Bitters.
Oh, yes, Betters, Bitters. It's the best butter in Buttersworth. On Amazon, they were like $8 a fucking bottle.
But are they better bitters?
No. They weren't the best bitters of the better bitters of the butter bitters.
What's the Best Buy you found for better?
Well, right now the best
better.
Better.
The Best Buy I found for the better bitter butters over the better bitters was Wall Bitters.
Picky people pick Peter Pan peanut butter. It's the peanut butter picky people pick.
What about Toy Boat?
Fucking around and try to
Toy Boat. That one I always end up sounding like I'm from Wisconsin.
What's
Toy
wrong
Boat.
with that?
Toy Boat.
That one's
sorry about your toy boat.
That one I think is the hardest one.
Get your. I already had a Kavanaugh one in my head.
Did I fuck it up?
I'm like, I'm doing it anyways.